Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are solving maximize area of square hole in grid. So we are given two integers n and m and two integer arrays h bars and v bars. So the grid will have n plus 2 horizontal and m plus 2 vertical bars. So they will create 1 by 1 unit cells. And these bars will be indexed starting from 1. Now we can remove some of the bars in h bars for the horizontal bars and some of the bars listed in v bars for the vertical bars. And we want to return an integer that denotes the maximum area of a square-shaped hole based on the bars that we can remove in the grid. So if we look at this example, the max would be an area of 4 because we can remove this bar and this bar. And in this example, the area will also be 4 because we can remove this bar and this bar because horizontal at 2, vertical at 2. In this example, the area also be 4 because we can remove this bar and this bar. So the area will also be 4. So now that we have seen some examples, let's get to how we can solve this problem. So if you notice a pattern, the maximum square that we can have will basically depend on the minimum consecutive horizontal bars and vertical bars. So for example here, this will have one consecutive horizontal bar only. So even though there's 3 vertical bars here, it doesn't matter because there's only one horizontal bar. So the max square that we can make is 2, even though you can form it here, or you can form it here, or you can form it here. But that's the max square we can make. So 1, the bars need to be consecutive, and 2, just because the vertical bars have a lot of consecutive bars, the horizontal will also need to have as much to be able to form a square of the size that the number of vertical bars has, and vice versa as well. So what we can do is we can sort through h bars and v bars, and we will iterate through h bars and v bars and look for the maximum number of consecutive horizontal bars in h bars, and also the maximum number of consecutive vertical bars in v bars. And how we can look for the consecutive bars is as we iterate through these two arrays. If the current element and the previous element's difference is by 1, then that's how we know it's consecutive. And we will keep track of the number of consecutive numbers and find the maximum at the very end. And after that, we will return the smaller number between h max and v max. We will add 1 to that, and then we will square it because that's how we can calculate the area. So we can return this as our result. So let's go over this example real quick. So h streak and v streak will keep track of the horizontal and vertical streak as we are iterating through h bars and v bars, and h max and v max will be the final max when we are calculating the area. So first we iterate through h bars. This and this, the difference is 1, so we increase the streak by 1, and we will update h max, and we're at the end. So now let's look at v bars. The difference is greater than 1, so this is not consecutive, so we leave v streak and v max as it is. And now that we have come to the end, we see that between h max and v max is smaller, so we will do 1 plus 1 to the second power, or 1 plus 1 times 1 plus 1, and the number will be 4. So that is our area, as you can see right here. So we can return 4 as our result. And the time complexity would be O of h log h plus v log v, where h represents the number of elements in the h bars, v is a number in v bars, because it will take h log h time to sort this array and v log v time to sort this array. And the space complexity will depend on which sorting algorithm you use, but I will be using the built-in sort method in Python, and that space complexity will be h plus v. So now let's get to the coding part. So first we will sort h bars, and then we will sort v bars. Now we will initialize h max, v max, h streak, and v streak all to 1. And now we will iterate through h bars and v bars. I'll do h bars first. So if h bars of I is equal to h bars of I minus 1 plus 1, meaning the difference is only different by 1, then that means it is a streak, so we will increase the streak by 1. Otherwise, we will reset the streak to 1. And then finally, we will update h max, so it will be the max between h max and h streak. And now we will do the same for the v bars array, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste and change h to v for all the variables. And now we will take the minimum of hmax and vmax and add 1 to it. We'll call that side. And then now we'll just calculate the area of a square, which is return side by side. And let's see if it works. Okay, perfect. Hope this was helpful. Thank you all for watching. If you have any other questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section, and I hope to see you all again soon.